Hey guys, I'm going to show you how I make GIFs for Tumblr today. Now what you're going to need is Photoshop, which is what I use. I use Photoshop CS5 Extended. If you have a different version of Photoshop, I'm not sure if that'll work or not, but feel free to try it. You're going to need a video file that you want to make a GIF out of. I have a video from a live stream that I took with Papa Xander. You have to keep in mind that Photoshop can only open certain kinds of video files. It can open MOVs, MP4s, AVIs. It can't open MPEGs, and it can't open F4Vs. I'm not sure about FLVs. You're going to have to check that and see if that works out. So I'm going to drag this down into Photoshop, and there it is. I'm going to turn this into full screen. Now, I recorded this with Photo Booth, and Photo Booth is a great like webcam utility for the Mac, but the thing is, it records videos as a mirror image. So I'm going to want to flip this around. So I'm going to go up to, let's see here, image rotation, flip canvas horizontal. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to brighten this up a bit, because you can see it's kind of dark. That might seem difficult at first because we're not in a video editing program, and that's not as nearly as easy to do. And it's a little tricky, but there is a way you can lighten this up in Photoshop. What you could do is you just go over to your layers panel, you click this button over here, which is create new layer. You go over to the paint bucket tool, and then you make sure it's on white, and then you click it on the canvas. And then you go back to the layers panel, and you see this little option here which selects what kind of layer style it's going to have. And I go down to soft light, and I usually put that at about 40 to 50%. Let's put that around 45, I think. Yeah, that looks nice. And so therefore, as you can see, that lightens it up quite nicely. Next, what you're going to want to do is perhaps resize your video. This video is 640 by 480, and it's probably best to keep GIFs around 500. You want to keep your GIFs around 500 width for Tumblr, since that's the width of the dashboard. So let's do that. And now, finally, the nitty-gritty actual part of getting to the GIF and selecting the part of the GIF that you want. So go to Window, Animation, and this little box will pop up. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this slider here to find the part in your video that you want to turn into a GIF. And see, here's the part that I want to turn into a GIF. See, we're both holding the glasses up, we bring it down, and we say deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the beginning of that motion. We're both holding the glasses up. And take this top part here. There's this big bar on the top. See, there's these two green bars that represent the videos of the layers. This is like, here's a top layer that's just the white part, and here's the actual video layer. Take this and bring it down to match the spot that you want to start your GIF to be. And then bring it along until you want it to stop. That's a good place to stop, I think. And bring it back. And then play it to see how your GIF looks. Not bad. Now you might want to make some occasional tweaking here. The longer you have your GIF going for, the bigger it'll be, and you'll definitely want to keep things in the requirements for Tumblr, because thankfully the Tumblr GIF requirements have been increased from 500 kilobytes, which was really small, to a meg. It's worthwhile to make sure that you don't make your GIFs too long or too huge, otherwise they'll turn into one of those GIFs where you have to actually click on it and open it up in Tumblr for you to see it's the animation, which you don't want to do. You want it to immediately animate as soon as you post it. Since this is a GIF that's going to be require text, why don't we put some text on there? Because we're saying deal with it here, and it'd be appropriate to have text there. So click the text tool and let it load up. And then click on there, type in your words. Usually I use the font impact, since that's used for memes and stuff. I figure it's appropriate. Make sure that you have your font as big as you want it. Now, it's obviously not showing up very well because I'm wearing a white shirt and so is Papa Xander. So what you can do is double click on the layer of the text, and then this little window will pop up calling layer style. So go down to stroke and just leave it as the defaults. That'll work just fine, which is a 3 pixel wide border on the outside, and that looks just fine. What you'll want to do is select that layer as well as the bottom layer, the video layer, and these alignment buttons will show up at the top. You want to hit align horizontal centers, so it'll be centered with the whole thing, so it'll look even. And now we're all ready to export this. So what you're going to do is go to File, Save for Web and Devices. Now this screen is going to pop up, if it'll load. There we go. Now, as you can see from here, it's giving you an estimate of how big the GIF is going to be if you save it. And this is saying 2.227 megs, which is way over the limit of what we want our GIF to be. We want it to be under a meg. Otherwise, it'll be too big for Tumblr and people will have to click on it to see it animate, etc. We don't want that. So to adjust that, we have two major things that we can scale down in order to make this GIF smaller, which is the image size and the number of colors we're going to use. So first thing I like to do is usually make this smaller. My limit to the width of a GIF is I like to make it at the very least 250 pixels wide. I just took off 100 pixels from the width, and already this has gone down to 1.5 megs, which is a big deal. That's very good. What else you could do is also decrease the colors. Sometimes I like to decrease the colors in a GIF. That sometimes helps as well. Let's bring it down to 240 colors. It looks just as well. That only helps a little bit. You might want to take bigger steps. See, they have bigger leaps in changing the colors. I like to type it in manually just so I have more control over how it is. And then you keep adjusting it like this. Sometimes you might actually have to exit out of here and go back and get rid of some frames in your animation, make it a little bit shorter of a GIF, because the longer it is, obviously the bigger it'll be. And let's see how this looks at 128. You see it's finally under a meg, but it's it could use a little bit more color. So you just keep tweaking it until you get the results that you want. When you finally have it what you want, make sure you go down to this little section called Animation, and it says Looping Options. By default, Photoshop sets it at once. You'll want it to put it to forever. Then you're going to hit Save, and save it to wherever you put your GIFs. Then make sure it's all good, name it appropriately wherever you want it to go. Then you say Save, and there you go. Then you can go over and test your GIF to see how it looks. I'm going to open up Firefox to look at it. Okay, so let's see how it looks. There we go. That looks pretty cool, right? And that is how you make GIFs with Photoshop.